On the 12-year FNAF anniversary, Steel Wool finally gave us the teaser that confirmed that they were actually teasing a new game and not just driving me personally crazy. One with a new design for Vanny and a hidden 2 in her eye. At this point, it's undisputable, but that being said, with this new information we do have, what do all these teasers mean so far? What is the next game we're getting from Steel Wool? Slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. Look, I'm not going to hold it to the end of the video for attention. Let's just start with the most exciting news. We have a brand new teaser from Steel Wool. Well, as of the release of this, like a 2-week-old teaser, but like, it's new, right? It's an actual real teaser. It was hidden inside this Guess the Character video, one that they've been posting a lot of variants of, like guess the character, guess the location, this one clearly being Vanny, but at the 10-second mark, we got these glitches. And in those glitches, we got a few frames that, doing my best in Photoshop, I was able to use to recreate this design for Vanny. A darker, sleeker suit with this really creepy mask and what looks like a knife or a lever in her hands, with a red bow on the back of her neck and ribbons draping down to her legs. It looks so cool. Now, since this is likely concept art, I tend to lean to this being a knife more than a lever because that just makes sense for a concept art pose, but it could be a bunch of things. But I cannot state enough how sick this design is. And I'm not the only one who thinks that. Everyone has been fawning over this design. I've seen countless fan arts already about how cool this design is. But this design isn't the only information we got, because one of the frames is just of her mask, and in that frame, we see a number 2 in one of the eye sockets in the security breach font, nearly confirming that this new game Steel Wool is working on is Security Breach 2, which is awesome. Security Breach 2, Vanny's back with a cooler suit. What's going on in it? What is going on in it? If this is Security Breach 2, why is Vanessa still here? Many people rightfully believe that Vanny's story is done. Either Vanessa died or was freed of Vanny. After all, that is what happens in like half the endings of Security Breach. I personally, for the longest time, have been saying that the evidence in Ruin points us to the good Vanny ending being the canon option, the one where Gregory frees Vanessa from Vanny, and the 2 of them, along with Glamrock Freddy's head, escape the Pizzaplex, and now the 3 of them are working to combat whatever was going on in the first place. But if Vanny's back, the way I see it, there's really only 2 possible options here. Scan QR code for Pool Room's map. This has got to be a trap, but it's too good to pass up otherwise. Okay. What do you mean Google's blocked? What do you... Google is not available in your current region. Not even in a region, I'm in the back rooms. I just need a way to stealth past these signals. Wait, that's right. I have Proton VPN, the sponsor for today's video. Let me just turn it on. With its seamless compatibility, I should be able to access any apps I need to get this search done. There we go. Now all I have to do is change my virtual location to the US. Anywhere but here, really. And with over 20,000 servers across the entire world, it's easy to do so. There we go. Now the website isn't blocked. Oh, wow. This isn't just a map of where I am. This is a map of the entire floor. It's almost too big to use. Although I should try to download this in case the signal goes down again. And luckily with Proton VPN's VPN accelerator, I can boost speeds to up to 22 gigabytes per second, which downloaded this fairly quickly actually. And even if anyone or anything is watching me download this and it is a trap, Proton VPN's stealth features make sure that my connection is secure. And if something fails, Smart will automatically switch to continue my protection. If all of this sounds perfect to you, click the link in the description or go to protonvpn.com/rytoast to get up to 70% discount when you sign up to Proton VPN 2-year plan. Again, that is 70% off their 2-year plan. It's an insane deal. Thanks again to Proton VPN for sponsoring today's video. All right, now I just have to take where I am and wait a minute. Is that an exit symbol? The first option is that we're wrong. We've been wrong for a while, which is totally possible. As solid as I feel about what ending of Security Breach is canon, at the end of the day, it is still a theory until we definitively have more information. It's totally possible that Vanessa is still Vanny out there somewhere. After all, half of the Security Breach endings end with exactly that. The Burn Trap ending, the bad ending where Gregory gets recaptured, and the Van ending, which probably isn't canon anyway, but it's worth mentioning that we don't know what happens to Vanessa, so she's probably still Vanny. If one of these endings are true, then Vanny survived Security Breach and has been lurking in the shadows throughout Ruin, waiting for her time to start again. And this would be her new suit for the next game. Although, as possible as it is, admittedly I'm skeptical that Vanny survived Security Breach and Vanessa is still trapped. For one, we have so much good evidence in Ruin that the good Vanny ending is canon. And two, Vanessa made this suit by hand. We have no reason to believe that she would make a new suit for a second location. Well, there's one possible reason, but I'll save that for much later in this video. The problem is, if Vanessa did escape and we don't have this first option, there isn't really another good candidate for this to be. If there's no Vanessa, this Vanny really can't be any human. I've seen some people say that this might be Cassie after a time skip, because again, these proportions do not make sense for a 10-year-old. That is an adult. And yes, Five Nights at Freddy's has had plenty of time skips. The idea of 10 to 30 to 50 years even passing in between FNAF games has happened, totally possible. But they only happen within the context of the narrative, right? Like William Afton gets trapped in the Springlock suit and then he needs to rot to become Springtrap. So we skip ahead in the narrative, about 30 years to FNAF 3. Then he escapes FNAF 3 and gets loose out there, so they need to craft a new plan to build a trap to lure him back. So, 10-year or so time skip to FNAF 6. The time skips make sense in the narrative. But where are we in the narrative right now? If this truly is Security Breach 2, then we're right after Ruin. And at the end of Ruin, seemingly Gregory is alive and trying to help Cassie, and Cassie's stuck in the basement of the Pizzaplex. So if we're going to rescue her, this next game seemingly takes place very soon after. At least, it wouldn't make sense to skip 10 years into the future, and Cassie's just off doing something else and Gregory never went to look for her. It could happen, but to me a time skip right now seems really far-fetched. So all that in mind, what would my second option be? After all, I said that if Vanny isn't Vanessa, there's really no other human that fits the bill. Well, that's the kicker, because this is something that we've already seen play out in a previous game, Help Wanted 2. Think back to the secret ending of Help Wanted 2. Sure, if you play through the game normally, you release Glitchtrap into the real world, I guess. But if you listen to that other voice throughout the game and collect the poppets and get access to Princess Quest 4, you get this ending, in which you give a Glitchtrap plushie to a massive Vanny, who crushes Glitchtrap in front of you and then leaves. It's a weird ending that to this day doesn't super make sense. A lot of us assumed that this is Vanny defeating Glitchtrap once and for all, which is strange for his most loyal subject. Not to mention this would mean that Vanny survived Security Breach somehow, at least if she's down here, right? What if I said that in spite of the other ending literally beginning Ruin, this suit makes me think that this ending is the canon one? Because what we might be seeing is a digital manifestation of Vanny absorbing Glitchtrap. Think about it. This is the only time in the entire game that we see Vanny with our own eyes. Notably, this is the only time in the entire game where we are definitively in a digital space. We start by playing Princess Quest 4, but we physically enter the game, and only in its absolute depths do we see Vanny for the first time. We also at this point know that Glitchtrap and Vanny are in some way branches or iterations of the Mimic 1 program. Just like how F10N4 and M2 operate on the Mimic program but in separate iterations, Glitchtrap seems to either be one of them or its own new one. And Vanny seems to be an iteration of that. We know from some of the short stories like B7 and unfortunately In the Flesh that the idea of digital personas replicating itself and trying to exist separate from its host isn't new. This is something that happens in these stories. It's that logic that leads me to believe that Vanny is a digital persona of the Mimic operating within Vanessa's mind. It's something that we've been saying for over a year now. So what if even after Vanessa is freed of Vanny, that persona of Vanny, that Mimic AI digital manifestation, still lives within the VANNI mask, the one that our protagonist of Help Wanted 2 is using, the one that Cassie uses in Ruin, which tries to take over her mind. But in this ending of Help Wanted 2, the one where our protagonist listens to the voice of the mask and does what it says instead of Glitchtrap, it leads him down into the deepest depths of the digital sphere and plucks Glitchtrap out from our protagonist and crushes it in her hands. Now most of us, rightfully so, saw this as the death of Glitchtrap. After all, in the interview that FNAF had with J-Top, he pretty much said that. Pretty much. Because the wording there was phrased as the end of Glitchtrap, not the death. Glitchtrap is gone, but not totally. What if instead, Vanny was incorporating its creator, Glitchtrap, into itself, merging Glitchtrap with Vanny, creating a truer, darker version of itself? This, a darker, more sinister version of Vanny. One that has combined with the Vanny we've known to the Glitchtrap we've feared. Now, to be clear, if you are certain that this is still Vanessa and not a digital manifestation, this logic still works. The Vanny taking over Vanessa's body could still be the thing that merges with Glitchtrap, theoretically. After all, Vanny's big flaw was that she was still partially Vanessa. It was not a complete transfer. So this might be the completed transfer. I just think the digital manifestation one fits cleaner. So that's everything we know from this one image. But don't forget, this is the most recent teaser in a series of teasers that maybe weren't teasers, but now seemingly are teasers. Teaser is not going to be a real word to me by the end of this video. Namely, these two spot the difference posts from Steel Wool. Ones that showcase water attractions. I've made 2 different videos trying to understand what these water attractions are telling us, but now we have a guiding light. And now is when we get the other possible explanation for this darker, sleeker suit. As we were live trying to figure out what all of this meant, a few people in chat had suggested something I didn't consider. If we're truly going to these water-based attractions, if not a full water park, what is something many people wear when going underwater? A wetsuit, something that is traditionally skin tight and black, just like the new Vanny suit. Now, I hear you, the new Vanny suit does look shiny, if not latex adjacent. And while most wetsuits nowadays are with a stretchy, more comfortable material, there are more rubbery wetsuits in existence, ones that look much closer to this new Vanny suit. Now, I posted this idea to Twitter, and I got plenty of people telling me, no, this is clearly a reference to this design of Catwoman, since they're both similarly black and have stitchwork. And I get it. Hey, wouldn't you know it? Both of those things can be true. It's a fictional game. It might be a wetsuit, and then also like meta-wise is a reference to Catwoman. I don't know, I got real peeved that it was this big gotcha. It's like, no, it obviously has to be a Catwoman reference. Brother, it can be both. I just need to not go on Twitter, I think. But this being a wetsuit, on the bright side, fits with both of our previous options. Because if Vanny is still a real-world Vanessa, then her updating her suit to be more water-friendly at the water park makes absolute sense. Because if this was like fabric, that would stink in a week. It would stink in a couple days. But even if it's just a digital manifestation, there's no rules for the digital manifestations. They can appear however they'd like. So the idea that a digital manifestation of this trickster evil thing wants to fit in its new environment makes perfect sense. So all of this is well and good, and it gives us more tidbits of information on what we might see. But all of this in mind, what is this new game going to be about? I admit, we are veering on pure speculation. You have all the information I have at this point. We know there's gonna be a water attraction, probably, and we have a really cool Vanny design, and it's probably security breach too. That's all we know. So any guesses into the plot of this game are frankly irresponsible, because I have no way to tell if what I'm saying is just a guess or not. Is what I would say if I was a coward. Because I do have a guess, and I want to assure you it is a guess. It's barely a theory. This is going off of evidence that led to a theory, and a theory based on that theory. But if this is truly a continuation of the current story of Five Nights at Freddy's, then we're pretty sure that Gregory still needs to rescue Cassie, and this digital manifestation of Vanny is in his way. Not to mention the recently freed Mimic that's roaming throughout the Pizzaplex by this point. I'd bet that after the events of Ruin, both the Mimic and Cassie are MIA when Gregory gets down there. But it's down there where Gregory and Vanessa find F10N4, and are maybe able to upload it into Glamrock Freddy's head or something to bring her with them. And as they're trying to find Cassie, news of a new Pizzaplex opens up, which turns all of their attention towards it. And it's in there that we'll have to delve what's really going on, fighting off against Vanny while trying to find Cassie, whatever still holds her, and possibly defeat the Mimic while we're at it. But the only way to see for sure is by getting more news. And god damn am I glad that we have any news to talk about at all. I said it last week, but man, we were in a dry spell. But we got news to talk about, and I can't wait to hear more. But what are your thoughts so far? Are you really excited for this game? I know I am. Click the link in the description or go to protonvpn.com/rytoast to get up to 70% discount when you sign up to Proton VPN end 2-year plan. In the meantime, if somehow you missed it, last week I made a video going over everything we saw in the anniversary. You can find it right here. For our fan art featured on the channel, make sure to share it with hashtag #ToastArt. And a huge thank you to our very generous patrons who help support this channel in lieu of fluctuating ad rates of YouTube. With a special thank you to our breadwinners of the week, Madison Esmond, Marks, Sam Pinnell, and Westward Meadowlark. And until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.